old. That should help a bit. Well, as I sit here now, it is January of 2020, the start of a new year, a new season, and yeah, what better way to kick it off than to be on the bank in minus 15 degrees with an impending blizzard on its way this afternoon. Rods are out. Hopefully something will come along. I've caught them here in the past, but who knows? Can't get them if the line's not in the water. So, thought I'd sit down and tell you a little bit of a throwback Thursday. You know, it's hard to sit down and choose any one. You know, over the years, fishing so many different places with so many different great people, it really does get difficult. You can have so many amazing sessions, so many amazing, memorable moments, and so many incredible fish. And yeah, to be honest, I didn't quite know which one I wanted to choose to do this. So I probably bounced through about 4 or 5 different sessions. I couldn't narrow it down to any one particular fish, really. You know, I've had some amazing fish, big ones, small ones, you know, different colors, shapes. You know, they all have that little bit of character, and I think that's what drives us to keep pursuing carp overall. But in all fairness, one of the biggest things that, you know, I think about when I think about my fishing, and especially in recent years, is the camaraderie with my friends. You know, being out for those social sessions. And to be honest with you, after really putting my thoughts into that, I narrowed it down to one relatively recent session that I'll tell you about today. And, you know, I'll just kind of touch on it briefly. I won't go into all the details. We do, in fact, have a video on our YouTube channel, you know, of this whole event, this whole session that took place over a couple of days up on the iconic Rice Lake here in Ontario. And this goes back to October of 2017. Goldie and I, we were setting up a project. We were doing this thing for the whole year called 12 Months of Carp for our channel, The Angler Files. And the goal was to catch a carp in every month of the year here in Canada. That includes the winter months, January, February, you know, December and such. And we wanted to see if we could actually do it. And the first year that we had actually tried and was going to do a little bit of a test, failed miserably. We didn't catch for the first 3 months of the year. But then all of a sudden we just decided to give it an honest go, and everything fell into place. We caught in every month. There was some other stipulations that I had put on myself about a specific rig, about also getting some 20-pounders throughout the year. And overall, it was amazing. But probably the one month that really stands out the most from that whole project that took place over the whole year was the month of October. And as I said, it was on Rice Lake. A trip that almost didn't happen, believe it or not. We had set up with our friend Will to come up and fish a few different spots in his local area and hopefully put together a decent video, get the fish we needed, and have a little bit of fun while we were there. Well, it turns out that Will was actually doing some guiding at the time and was already booked, but couldn't tell us who he was booked with, which was a little bit suspicious at the time. But you know, when he said, you know, I can't accommodate you guys, I've got another project, I have to work with some other people, I said, well, my time's booked off, we've already made all the arrangements, we're coming up there, just tell me, you know, a place to start. And he set us up with a spot to go to. He threw a little bit of bait in for us the night before, and yeah, we drove almost 4 hours to get to this spot. We got there about 11 o'clock at night, and this is just south of Rice Lake, or no, sorry, just north of Rice Lake. And yeah, Goldie and I set up in the rain and put some lines out, saw some fish in the water right away with the flashlight. And that really kicked off what was an incredibly memorable weekend. 3 days we were up there, 2 nights. And yeah, the first morning right away, Will joined us right at first light before he went to meet with his clients. And it was, you could tell something special was happening. We started off with a fish each right away. 2 of which were over 20 pounds, 1 of which was just a few ounces under. And you know, we've got photos of those fish. Mine in particular was an incredibly memorable fish. It was a gorgeous 2-tone, but it was almost like it had like a lightning bolt pattern in the middle. And yeah, I'll never forget that fish, but I'll never forget that morning either. Just in particular because all 3 of us had such good quality fish in a very short space of time. And it was at that time that we found out who in fact Will's client was, because he had to leave and go meet up with that client. It turns out that it was Matt Hayes, the legendary angler Matt Hayes. And he was there filming a project with Richard Lee. And yeah, they were set up to film a whole segment about carp fishing in Canada, kind of geared towards the UK anglers and European anglers. So naturally, you know, Matt Hayes being one of my fishing heroes, this was kind of exciting, and I was like, you know, that's great. You know, I'd love a chance to just come by and say hi, you know, just to be able to meet him, thank him. And yeah, it turned out a little bit better than that. We fished that one spot for a few hours there, but then we went with Will to meet up at the location that they were going to be filming in, and they had some filler shots to do. They'd been there a few days already, but yeah, we got there, and Goldie and I set up kind of off to the side away from where they were going to be so that we didn't interfere with their filming, which we did anyways. You know, looking back, we naturally screwed up a few of their shots. You know, they had the audio going, and yeah, our alarm screams off and we were getting fish. So I feel bad for doing that, but at the same time, it was kind of awesome. But yeah, to actually get to meet Richard and Matt Hayes, these are 2 amazing people in person. You know, you see Matt on YouTube videos and films and TV, and you think he seems like a cool guy. He genuinely is that cool a guy. And Richard was incredibly pleasant, and it was just really nice to be able to actually meet them. Spending some time there for the day, Goldie and I were catching fish pretty steady. They were filming their bits that they had to take care of that day, and then the end of that day we kind of needed a place to go for the night. So while they went back to their cabin and planned their things for the next day, what filming they had to do, Goldie and I zipped off to another location, a canal, and we fished the night there. And right off the bat we set up in the dark, you know, because we got there relatively late, and a storm hit us. And if I remember right, Goldie, correct me if I'm wrong, but that storm almost blew the bivvy right off of us, did it not? Yeah. So there was a big thunder lightning storm, and the wind had got up under the bivvy, even though it was pegged down, and we actually had to like grab a hold of it and hold it down. It was short-lived. It wasn't a long storm, but it was pretty awesome. And again, through that night, we got more fish, about a fish every hour, which culminated in the end by Goldie getting his first mirror carp, and I think a 19-pounder to cap off the morning. So it was a great session where we were just continuing to catch fish, and it was going really well. You really couldn't have asked for a better session. You know, we went up there to film a project. We wanted to get a 20-pounder. We'd achieved that right off the bat with the first fish that we caught. We wanted to get a few more fish to, you know, fill out the video. We got to meet one of my heroes, one of my fishing favorites. And you know, and then to cap it all off, Goldie gets his first mirror, which funny enough is a fish that Will had caught I think a year or 2 previously. Yeah, you couldn't have asked for anything better. So we were on our last day at this point, I believe. Yeah, it was only 2 days, 3 days, but it doesn't matter. It was just, there was so much fishing involved. it's hard to kind of put a timestamp on exactly where we were and when. But what we did know is that we were going to be heading home that night, and we wanted to at least stop in at Rice Lake on the way back, say goodbye to Matt and Richard, thank Will for setting us up with the location, and that would be it. We'd hit the highway and make the 3.5-4 hour journey back home, back to this lovely area, the mighty Niagara region. And it looks like the snow is on its way, starting to fall now, so this blizzard is going to hit us soon. But yeah, Goldie and I had packed up. We hit the local coffee shop, went down and pulled into the location at Rice Lake to be able to say goodbye and thank you to the guys. And what was funny was we technically needed a 10-second shot to finish out the video, because we had caught a bunch of fish at Rice Lake the day before that we didn't film, but we wanted to show that we were in fact at that location. So we grabbed a bunch of stuff out of the van, a couple rods, a pod, and the camera, and Goldie set all that up to get that literal 10-second shot. And while we were setting that up, Matt Hayes actually grabbed me by the shoulder and dragged me down to a little swim just past where they were and where Goldie was taking that shot, and says, you know, John, to finish your video, you really need to come over here. I had seen a few fish here right in this drop off by this weed line, and I bet if you put your line there, you'll get one. Kind of hard to say no to Matt Hayes. I didn't have the heart to tell him that we had everything we needed and that we had the shots and we were ready to go. He tells you to keep filming, you keep filming. I guess that's just the way it goes. And so I told Goldie, and Goldie just said, yeah, let's run with it. So we put the cameras on, we set everything up, and it only got more exciting from there. It got to be fish after fish after fish, and I'm not just talking for Goldie and I. Will started catching. Will had a line net. Matt Hayes and Richard were still filming their project, and they were getting fish. It got to the point where, believe it or not, we actually had a quadruple header. All four of us had a fish on at once, and we had cameras rolling. Richard was filming what they were doing. It was absolutely mind-boggling. I think at any given time, yeah, we had pretty much always 2 fish on the bank, sometimes 3 fish on the bank. It was insane. The fishing in Rice Lake, I'll never forget. And that session in particular, with friends, with just everything that came together, you know, filming a project that we were working so hard on to have it go that well, and just to share it with everybody afterwards, to see how excited we were. Yeah, it's one of those things to look back on that you just won't lose that memory. There's so many great things that happened that weekend. So yeah, we do have that film on our channel. If you go back and watch the whole 12 months of Carp, you'll see our progress through the whole year. But October in particular, yeah, that's the one that really stands out for me out of that whole project and that whole session, and really that whole season. And I can't thank the guys enough still to this day. You know, it's one of those things where we all look back on it and we all kind of have the fun laughs about what went down and how it all went. Kind of makes days sitting on the bank like this, you know, worth it, because you know the next season coming, another day like that or another weekend like that can happen. So yeah, there's my little throwback Thursday for you, and you know, here's to many more, and I'm sure I'll have a few more for you in the future.